What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the channel. Today we got a good show for you, so let's get right into it. So what's going on, everybody? Okay, yesterday, Joe Biden, if you have not already heard, you probably have already heard, pardoned his crackhead son, Hunter Biden. I had to do it. I don't normally call people crackheads, but I figured I'd just go ahead and, let's go ahead and crack one. But yeah, so Joe, of course, he said, had this to say about it previously. Let's listen to what Joe had to say.
With regard to the question regarding the family, I'm extremely proud of my son Hunter. He has overcome an addiction. He's one of the brightest, most decent men I know, and I am satisfied that I'm not going to do anything. I said I abide by the jury decision. I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
Of course, we all knew what Joe Biden was going to do. I mean, of course, listen, who wouldn't pardon their son probably if they were in that position? But the thing that people are saying that's most important is that Joe lies. He lies. He's always lied. He's always been a liar. If you look back at any of his history, the videos of him, all he has done is lied, plagiarized. That's all he does. Everybody knew that Joe was going to pardon his son. Okay, there's no doubt about that. But Joe just could have said, "Hey, it's my son. I love him. I'm gonna pardon him." Right? Isn't that what he should have done? Yeah. Just take a listen to this here and hear what that's to say about it.
You know, the Biden situation disgusted me in terms of the parting only from this standpoint, Chris. Nobody on the planet, you want to be a cynic and you want to act like you would be offended by something like that if you're one of those people out there, fine. But no one within reason would have a problem with him saying, it's my son. I love him. There's no way I'm sending him to jail. And I have the power to avoid it. Nobody would blame him for that. But that's not where he went. So I didn't have a problem to answer your question directly with the decision that he made to pardon his son. Boo Boo the Fool knew he was going to do that. I don't care who he stood in front of or sat in front of and said that he wasn't going to pardon his son and he was just going to go by the letter of the law. Please, everybody and their grandmother knew he was going to pardon his son. But to come out and to start talking about how it's been a witch hunt and the Department of Justice and others were after him or whoever it was and, GOP rather was after him. Well, wait a minute. What have y'all been doing with Donald Trump all of these years? Now, you can make an argument about the legitimacy of the cases against Donald Trump compared to what wasn't legitimate, et cetera. That's not the point. The point is it was clearly politicized. You had folks on the left who were hell-bent on going after Donald Trump because they were determined to make sure that he couldn't run for re-election or that these elements would get in the way of him possibly winning re-election. And now we know why more than ever, because they weren't confident they would ever be able to beat him. He'd been a Republican nominee since 2016. He beat Hillary Clinton with the Electoral College vote. He wouldn't concede defeat in 2020, but he did receive over 74 million votes at that particular moment in time. And then you fast forward 4 years later, despite the 34 felony convictions, the 2 impeachments, the bevy of crimes that he had been accused of, the Republican voters out there, the conservative voters out there, and a lot of independents from various communities said, he's the guy we want, and I've said it on many, many occasions. It wasn't about him. Just like it wasn't about Biden in 2020, it was more against Trump. In this particular instance, it was an indictment against the Biden administration, what had been going on for the last 4 years. Some of the things going on with the border, obviously inflation, of course, crime in the streets, of course, woke and cancel culture and all of that, it all played a role. And so for him to come out and to talk about that this was a witch hunt when clearly it could be argued that's exactly what you were doing to Donald Trump, or you assisted in doing, seems beyond hypocritical. And that was what disgusted me. It wasn't his decision. It wasn't him pardoning his son. It was the weak, pathetic explanation that he gave, which has most critics just shaking their heads and raising their eyebrows and saying, what nerve you have.
Now, I agree with you 100%. I went light on that point in my open because I knew you were going to make it. I agree with you 100%. And he didn't have to do it that way. He could have just said what you said, which is, hey, look, I don't want them. He's my son, and they're going to go after him. And if I can protect him, I'm going to protect him. You know what else Biden should do? And I know people are going to get upset about this, but just think about it before you go crazy on me. Not you,
Sure.
everybody else. If I were he, I would pardon Trump. I
You
would
know
pardon
something?
Trump.
Honestly,
I would say
honestly,
this
as
has got to
crazy as this
stop.
sounds, Chris,
I'd pardon him.
Chris, that's exactly what I would do. That's exactly what I would do. Enough's enough. You know what? You're the
Enough.
Democrats. You lost the election. You got your butt whipped. You couldn't prevent him from going back to the White House. More than a dozen cases have been dropped against him. The cases that have been ruled against him, he's going to appeal, and he'll probably get off from having to deal with all of that. It's time to move forward. You want to get at Trump? Sit back and judge what he does. Guess what? You got a midterm election in 2 years. Are you going to be ready if you're the Democratic Party? You should be. You know, he's going to be the presidency for 4 years. You're going to be able to judge every single act that he does. March forward, move forward. You know, Gerald Ford could have let Nixon suffer. You know to say he didn't let that happen. Why? Because it was for the good of the country. The whole hanging Chads issue in 2000 between George W. Bush and Al Gore. Gore could have dragged it on. He didn't. It was for the better of the country. And a lot of times these folks speak about this stuff, but they don't do what they say they're going to do and what they implore others to do, which is where the disgust elevates exponentially for Washington, D.C., because we know they're full of it most of the time. And today was the latest example of that.
So maybe Joe should pardon Donald Trump. Hey, step up, old Joe. Step up, Joe, and pardon Donald Trump. How about that? Be a man. Well, I'm not so worried about it. Hey, look, it is what it is. Joe's on out the door. Donald Trump's coming in. I hope he does a great job. Hope that's a good thing. We will see. Time will always tell. So I'm browsing the internet yesterday, guys, and I ran across a channel called Talking Talk Tuah. And I was like, Talking Talk Tuah. I was like, I have seen Talk Tuah with Haley Welch. I'll admit, I checked out a couple episodes, had to see what it was all about. I think that she's taken what was thrown at her in strides. If anybody knows and has listened to the story, you know, she went out, was having a good time, said what she said, things blew up, and she was basically not even wanting to do any of this. She didn't want to be famous, be known for. She tried to hide from it, couldn't hide from it, asked them to take it down. They didn't. So now she's really, to me, I think she's taken things at strides and just doing the best she can with what she's given. And she's still young and she's got a lot of learning and growing to do. But I think that doing these podcasts and meeting all these people that she's meeting, I think it's going to be good for her. I think it's going to be really good for her because she can just take from here and there things and learn and live. I think she'll do well. But I seen this Talking Talk to it, and this channel it's got like 3.54K subscribers, and it's just these two guys. All they're doing is talking about the Talk to a show. I don't know. I did try to run listen to a little bit of it. I just couldn't not get into it. I do not understand it all. These guys just sitting there on the couch with a TV on the couch talking about it. And what they were saying to me just didn't make no sense. Did not have a clue what they were talking about. You guys, also on the news today, Jelly Roll popped up with a new video called "Run It," Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I got a little thing here by Holler Country Music. I'll pull up and read. "Run It" from Sonic the Hedgehog 3 by Jelly Roll. Lyrics and meaning by Maximum Mower. It's like what it says here. I did not know that Jelly had anything to do with Sonic. I'm not a big gamer, or if this is a movie game, none of that. So now everything wants to freeze up. Isn't that nice? Huh. All right, let's see. Arriving like a bolt from the blue, November 22nd, 24, Harlem Hills, a Jelly Roll. Yeah. Let's see. The electric track features production from EDM legend David Guetta, who infuses a club-ready sound into the mix. While prolific pop producers Ryan Teddy and Sean Cook also helped to mold the song to a certified crossover anthem. Of course, Jelly Roll. Yeah, the meaning. Days like these don't get much better. Top down, good fam, good weather. Days like these we don't ever miss. Don't miss ever. Yeah, yeah. Let's see. Core message of running is that despite the challenges we all face on the whole, life is pretty darn awesome. Jelly Roll sets an Alex scene as he cruises down the road with his convertible roof down before reflecting finally on the wild night he has just enjoyed. Um, I think that Jelly Roll obviously is just having fun and he's just taking opportunity of anything that comes along right now because God knows how long it'll last, right? I truly believe that's kind of how he probably feels, and that is just what he is doing. I'm proud of the guy. I don't understand every decision that he makes and what songs he chooses to do. So, yeah, was a little odd for me. I was like, run it, a Sonic thing. He's doing a Sonic thing. I think he did Help for Twister, the new Twister also. So those things I haven't even really heard him talk about. Then they just pop up, and then there they are. So yeah. So Jelly Roll, do you man, do you man, whatever makes you feel good and works for you. Yeah. Well, guys, that's gonna do it right there. Hope you enjoyed the show, and as always, we will see you on the next one.